Hi, this is Andrew Rusnak, founder of Charlotte Content Marketing, and this is the Charlotte Content Marketing Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me again. I had a pretty rough day. I woke up this morning and everything was going good. We actually brought on a web development partner today, and we're getting ready to bring on a social media partner as well. So we're really looking forward to those new relationships. But I was having a good day, and then I don't know, I rubbed my eye or something, and I got an eyelash in my eye. But this wasn't one of those like oh yeah, you can just get it out kind of things. I think it's like in my eye. So all day has just been it has not been fun with that scratchy kind of feeling in your eye. So today's been kind of rough, but I am very thankful, and I'm thankful that you have decided to tune in here. So whether you're joining us here on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you get your podcast, I do want to thank you for tuning in. Today, what I want to talk about is how content marketing affects healthcare marketing specifically, because in the healthcare industry, there are specifics that there are specific considerations that don't necessarily come into play with content marketing for other industries. There are very specific things for healthcare and medical services. So before getting into the specifics of content marketing for healthcare, I do want to back up here for a second, because there are a number of similarities with content marketing for healthcare professionals and content marketing for other industries. For instance, having clearly defined targets and knowing your audience, those are going to be universal no matter what industry you're in. And really, no matter what your goals are, understanding your audience and having clearly defined targets. And then to back up just a second there, what I just said about goals, having clearly defined goals is really going to be crucial if you're going to, have any kind of a comprehensive and targeted content marketing strategy. And then the other thing is you want to have metrics to measure. So we need to know, how are we going to define success in content marketing? And that can be defined in numerous different ways. It just depends on, your content marketing strategy, where your content is going to be placed, what actions you want people to take based on that content, and what our final goals are. So having a way to measure things is going to be important no matter what industry you serve. So another thing with that's kind of a crossover, and see, I'm going to kind of lead into content marketing for healthcare with this. So ethics in content marketing. And I know that when I bring up ethics and, any kind of marketing or sales, advertising or anything like that, and I know it's going to be a shocker, but not everyone in the marketing industry is ethical. So if you've been around the block, you already kind of know where I'm going with that. And that's unfortunate, but we do need to think about ethics when it comes to content marketing for healthcare, because really, this is information that can affect someone's life, and it could quite literally kill someone. So we always have to be, extra careful with the information that we're putting out and making sure that we're doing so in an ethical way. It can be very easy to sensationalize things in marketing and content marketing and write up some, big emotional content that's really going to, move products and move customers and leads to take action. But when it comes to any kind of stuff related to healthcare, it's not just an ethical issue. It's also a legal issue. If you're a healthcare practitioner or you manage a healthcare facility or anything like that, you could potentially find yourself in quite a bit of trouble legally If you're sensationalizing, medical information, and a patient or even a non-patient, anyone comes across that information and takes it and runs with it, and it can be pinned back on you or your practice in any way, that's not a place that you want to be. So yeah, we have to be careful, and that's once again one of those things that with content marketing for any industry, we have to be very careful about how we're laying out the content, and whether how far we veer into the emotional territory, and then where is the line before that crosses into untruthful content. We never want to do that. I mean, we always want to be honest and upfront about the content, or within the content that we're putting out. But that we have to be extra stringent when it comes to content marketing for healthcare. Now, something else that's sort of unique to healthcare content marketing is community building. And when I say that, when we're talking about doctors and medical practices and hospitals, insurance companies, specialists, whatever, we're usually doing so with a local focus. Most doctors, unless you're Dr. Oz, or I guess Dr. Phil, no, he's not a doctor. I don't know, maybe he's a PhD, but and certainly not Dr. Pepper. But when we're talking about healthcare, it's usually local. It's usually community based, and so what we want to try to do with our content is to form a community if possible. I mean, if we can do things like, get user generated content, from patients or people in the community partners, things like that. Hey, that's great. I guess we could do like a message board or forum or something like that, or where people could send in questions and a doctor could answer them. But again, we get kind of into ethical issues with that. But the whole point I'm trying to get across here is that because these efforts are going to be community-based, that always needs to be in mind with our content strategy and with our content development. I mean, how is this content going to build trust and authority within a community? And that leads us into where content marketing for healthcare professionals really needs to factor in Google's ranking factors and signals and stuff like that. And within that, we have what's called EAT, and it stands for expertise, experience, authority, and trust, or trustworthiness. So with expertise and experience, what we're trying to get across there is we want to have, for instance, on web pages or information pages, resource centers, things like that, blog posts, anything that has an author attached to it. We want to have an author bio that's going to list that author's experience. And this is also where search engine optimization is changing slightly. What Google is looking for now, and I guess other search engines as well, is citations around the web. So you could say, Dr. So-and-so, wrote this piece, whatever, but who is that? And why should Google rank that piece of content or the website associated with that content above a competing medical practice's website? So what we need to do is tell Google, not only did Dr. So-and-so write this, but look, there are all these other places on the web where Dr. So-and-so is cited as an expert in whatever the medical specialty is. And this is also where we want to be citing our sources in any of the medical content that we're creating. Google has sort of a consensus building model when it comes to things like featured snippets, which are those, if you ask a question and it's kind of the bigger, bold text, it's usually highlighted it, and part of it's highlighted in blue. Those are called featured snippets, and we love to get those because that's like the front and center answer, right? Those are built off of consensus. So if a ton of websites that are reputable and have authority in the eyes of Google say that a dollar is worth 100 pennies, and your website says a dollar is worth 50 pennies. Well, Google's going to look at, all of the consensus that it has, and it's going to say, okay, well then this website obviously is not credible if it's saying, something different than what these others are. So what we're trying to do is cite sources, and we're trying to build up trust and authority in that way as well. Every piece of content that states any kind of statistic or fact or figure, any kind of official information that should be cited. We don't want to state anything as fact and then not have anything to back it up. And in keeping with that, listing any kind of professional associations or any professional organizations to which you're a part or that your practice has been a part of, any type of recognition from any established and recognized healthcare or medical body or organization also should be listed. And that goes the same with like patient testimonials and things like that. Now, again, keep in mind that this is where HIPAA laws and stuff like that come into play, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. But, we do have to be careful there. But any kind of public information, or if a patient is willing to go on record and state that they've been seen by you and you did a wonderful job and all that, yeah, we definitely want to use that. Putting together patient testimonial videos is fantastic. Or if you have a podcast and we can play some audio from a patient testimonial, things, any type of way that we can show Google and prospective patients and current patients as well too, anything that we can do to boost credibility, authority, trustworthiness, and demonstrate expertise and experience is going to go a long way in content marketing for healthcare. We also want to be transparent. And one of the ways that we can do that is by, for instance, having a privacy policy and making that privacy policy known, having links to that privacy policy on the website and any type of content that we put out, so that we're demonstrating to patients and to search engines that we are committed to transparency and everything is clearly laid out so that everyone can see. And this doesn't just have to do with gathering information, website visitor information and stuff, because a lot of the privacy policy stuff started because of cookies on the web, which gather third-party information. And actually cookies are going away. So that's not going to be really an issue anymore. However, having a privacy policy and basically stating that this is how we handle any information that we come across, but then this is also our methodology in creating content. This is our methodology in how we go about gathering patient experiences to include in our content. All that kind of stuff can make a big difference too. And lastly, I just want to go back to something I mentioned a little bit earlier, and that's when we're talking about healthcare, there may be state laws or state associations or organizations, that govern what can and cannot be said on your website, how you can represent yourself. Like I know when we deal with attorneys. So our clients who are attorneys cannot say that they can offer better lawyering, and that is a word. My wife is a lawyer, and lawyering actually is a word. I didn't believe it the first time she said it. I thought she was just joking around, but no, lawyering is an actual word. But an attorney cannot claim that they can offer better representation than another attorney. And so that's something when we do legal content marketing, and we're developing content for attorneys and legal practices, that's something that we always have to keep in mind. But with when it comes to healthcare, there may be state associations that govern what you can and cannot say, or how you can and cannot represent yourself or your practice, or they may have certain disclaimers and things like that need to be added. And disclaimers are always a good idea too. We want to make sure that unless content is coming specifically from a medical professional in the capacity of being able to provide advice or guidance or commentary or whatever, if they are offering medical advice in a professional capacity, that's one thing. But if this is, we've done research around the web, we've spoken with several sources who are credible sources, but they are not medical doctors practicing medicine. We always like to put disclaimers where possible, just so that, again, going all the way back to the beginning of what I was talking about, this is life and death stuff. And so, A, we don't want to cause any harm to anyone. But then B, we don't want anyone suing us, our clients, and anybody like that. So, it's always a good idea to make sure that you're putting disclaimers. And that's also a transparency issue as well. And that helps to build trust because you're being honest about how it is that you're representing yourself. So those are just a few ways that content marketing for healthcare professionals differs slightly. And as we discussed, there are some similarities to content marketing for other types of industries. But if you are in the medical field, those are some things that you should take note of. Of course, you can always get in touch with Charlotte Content Marketing. We would be happy to talk about how we can help you out with content marketing for your healthcare facility or your medical practice. You can give us a call at 704-323-6762, or you can email us at hello@charlottecontentmarketing.com. And of course, you can always visit us at charlottecontentmarketing.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Those are the three that we're most active on. We do have an Instagram. And I mentioned in the last podcast episode about Threads. I feel like I went back and checked to see if Threads was still alive after I recorded that. It's still there. I don't know. It's hanging on by a thread. Sorry, I had to. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on the Charlotte Content Marketing Podcast, and I will catch you next time.